Up next on the Day Beer Review, we're going to be looking at Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Stout. This is a stout brewed with coffee and aged in oak barrels with Haitian coffee, and it's coming in at 8% ABV. Let's go check it out. Hi everybody, it's Rich and welcome to the Day Beer Review, and today we are looking at Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Stout. This is a stout that is brewed with coffee and aged in oak barrels with Haitian coffee. So it looks like it's first, it's brewed with coffee in the actual build of the beer, and then they age it in oak barrels with coffee as well. So there should be a pretty heavy coffee aroma to this and coffee taste to it because, they're hitting this thing twice. Now 8% ABV. Respectable, not the highest we've seen on this channel, but for what I'm assuming is going to be a relatively dark stout, that's sort of what I would expect. So let's crack this open using my trusty Guinness glass here. Just a little hint of sweetness. Let's give it a pour. And it is pouring a dark brown. Not Bourbon County black, but sort of a dark reddish brown. Now, there's almost like a honey sweetness to this, with some coffee in the background. But there is that honey sweetness that I find very appealing about this. I'm not getting so much, I guess if it's going to be a coffee, I guess I would think more of like a Cuban coffee where it's very, very sweet, because I'm getting sort of that. But, yeah, it's very, very sort of sweet, honey-ish, some roastiness there. Maybe it's like the youth of the bourbon barrel they're using. I'm just not sure. Let's see what it tastes like. There is sort of a honey flavor to it. I am getting sort of the roast of the coffee and the bourbon barrel there. It's a little thin for my taste. I expected it to be much more bold as far as the coffee coming forward in this. It's not. It's very reserved. It's very in the back. And it's very secondary to the sort of like honey sweetness that I'm getting out of it. Is it a bad beer? No, it's sort of unexpected. I expected more of the coffee, more of the bourbon barrel. This is much more muted. This is sort of a bourbon barrel coffee stout for people who don't really want to taste like a bourbon barrel coffee stout. Now, I do reviews normally back-to-back, 2 reviews, and I have the last review I did, which is actually Bourbon County brand coffee stout, and here we have the other. Now, listen, this is $25 a bottle. This is like $5 a bottle. So we're talking about drastically different drinks, but all of the flavor that I sort of described in the Bourbon County review, which probably would be Tuesday, and this is probably Friday, all of that flavor, all of that aroma is here. And it's right there on the tongue. It's very present. When I drink this one, it's like all of that wants to be there, but it has sort of faded. I don't know if Bourbon County is aging it longer, or if it's the time in the bottle, or whatever it is. But, if you're looking to introduce somebody to sort of a bourbon barrel aged stout that's not too overwhelming, this is a solid one for that. If you're looking to give somebody bold, incredible flavors, then you would go with the Bourbon County coffee stout, which again, $25 a bottle versus, let's say $5 or $6 a bottle. They're in 2 very different realms of existence, but one seems to be a very light introduction, where the other is sort of what you hope the coffee stout will wind up being. Anyway, folks, would I buy it again? I would. It's not bad. If I saw it on tap, I would not, mind buying it at all. It's very nice. The alcohol is not overwhelming. The flavors are a little muted, but they're there. It's a solid introductory bourbon stout. That's how I feel about it. Would I buy it again? Yeah. Should you try it? Yeah, especially if you're trying to get into the whole, bourbon barrel aged beer section. This is a nice place to start. I wouldn't jump right in with a Goose Island because those flavors can be really overwhelming and sometimes it's a bit of an acquired taste. Anyway, folks, I'm going to sit back and enjoy the rest of this one and probably not so much this one. You can't have both. It's just too much in one night. I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe. If you've had interactions with either of these beers, I'd love to hear about it. And I will see you next time on End of the Day Beer Review. Cheers.